going on. Put your hands together for CJ Lauria.
How many entrepreneurs do we have in the room? Very good. I see a majority. Now, that means one of two things. Either you have never started a business, or you have no dreams. This is those of you who did not raise your hand, or you're not listening. So let me ask you again. How many entrepreneurs do we have in the room? Yeah! That's what I like to see. Good. Well, you're the people I want to talk to today. I'd like to talk to you today about growing through adversity. Now, we have had some wonderful speakers up here over the last couple of days. And they all talk about growth. And earlier today we heard, you never stop growing. And that's very true. As a matter of fact, if you stop growing, you will stagnate. And you know what happens when things stagnate? They smell very bad. But adversity is the key to growth, and I'm going to show you why. High up above 10,000 foot altitude at the timberline, in the White Mountains of California, there is a very unassuming looking little tree known as the bristlecone pine. It is believed to be the oldest living thing on the planet. The bristlecone pine was dated back in 1963 by a man named Curry. And he actually did the actual dating, counting the rings and all that, and he figured that one tree that he dated was about 4,700 years old. And the reason for telling you this is that he was quoted as saying, the reason the bristlecone pine lives as long as it does is because of adversity. And that's interesting, isn't it? This little tree seemingly grows out of the rock. But rather than looking down, oh my God, I'm growing out of rock, there's no soil here. There are no good circumstances to grow. It looks heavenward and continues to go towards the sunlight and has done it nearly 5,000 years. Now, how does that apply to you? On our last forum back in October, you heard from a very, very wonderful lady, Rhonda Britton, who was known as America's Life Coach. Emmy Award winner, been on Oprah. Just a bubbly personality. She's crazy bubbly, isn't she? How many were here last time in October? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. And I'm not going to steal her thunder, but she told her personal story, and it was probably the most incredible trial that you could ever imagine experiencing. It was horrific at the age of 14. A couple days ago, we heard David Corbin, a good friend of mine, and he talked about illuminate the negative. We always hear accentuate the positive. He talks about illuminate the negative. Don't run away from the negative. Look at it, face it, and do something about it. Grow from it. Well, we've had some wonderful conversations about that. And then in my book, The Internal Growth Dynamic, I sort of came up with an algebraic equation for illuminating the negative. I spoke to you about that back in October. What I want to suggest to you is this, that if we do not continue to grow, we stagnate. And if we don't have adversity, we cannot truly grow. Now, in this room, we have lots of entrepreneurs. Many of you are multi-millionaires. You have done some incredible things. And yet there are those of you who are hand-to-mouth right now. You don't know how you're going to pay your rent this month. But you're all entrepreneurs. And you all have the opportunity to grow and be seasoned. You know, I heard once from a mechanic who built hot rods, big high-performance, high-horsepower engines. He said that the best build for an engine is an old engine block that's been out in the junkyard and it's rusted and seasoned. Is that true? Yeah, I'm not a mechanic, but I heard that. I thought, how cool is that? One that's been rusting and ignored and neglected, it's actually better to rebuild that. And it's a better engine. Interesting, huh? Well, is that you? Are you the type of person that'll take adversity and become seasoned? Yesterday, we heard from an extraordinary individual, the man who started Make-A-Wish Foundation. And he mentioned that one of the biggest contributors to Make-A-Wish's the Disney Corporation. Very interesting. How many have ever wished to go to Disneyland? Right? We all grew up with that, right? You think about it, a quintessential entrepreneur, Walt Disney. What a guy. He made dreams come true for so many people out of fictitious characters, non-reality. Do you suppose that he had well-meaning friends and relatives that may have said, "Oh, come on, Walt, you know, get real, come on. You've got to stop being such a dreamer." Did you know that Walt actually endured multiple bankruptcies on the journey to making Disneyland? That's amazing. So after how many bankruptcies did he need to have his relatives come up and say, "Walt, come on, knock it out. You got to take care of you. Come on, Walt, don't do that." That is a trial. That is a trial in itself. And I suggest to you that some relationships, as Les Brown says, can make you sick. You can't sever all your relationships every time somebody speaks negatively to you. But not everybody deserves a front row seat in your life.
Amen.
So consider this. Just move them back a few rows. You don't have to cut everybody out of your life. Just move them back and listen to only those things that will build you up towards achieving your dreams. Because I have to say, the entrepreneurs that we've heard from, their dreams are doing a great deal to help fellow man. The love of neighbor is being achieved through some of your enterprises. It's absolutely wonderful. And I'll never forget, my life was idyllic. I grew up in a home where my parents, the greatest love affair I ever saw was my two parents. It was wonderful. And I went through life thinking that that's the way it should be. And then about 5 years ago, my life went completely 180 degrees. It involved the end of a 30-year marriage. I was devastated. I was at the point where I thought I might take my life. And going through the pain that I was enduring, my friends, they, CJ, he's so strong. They didn't realize the pain that I was going through. And so many of them stepped away because they didn't know what to say to me. Just when I needed them most, they weren't there. Could I be bitter? Sure. Many do get very bitter. It serves you no good. Since then, I decided to pursue my dreams. There came to a point where I had to say, how am I going to grow from this? Since then, I traveled the world. I learned to fly. I was a multimillionaire. Learned to fly. Became a master scuba diver. Did all sorts of things. In fact, I decided I'm going to become an entrepreneurial mentor a few years ago. Now I've got mentees on 3 continents. But last but not least, I met the love of my life and married her, Lucia. Woo! So what I want to tell you, though, is the latest trial I had. It was yesterday. Yesterday. Greg said I was going to come and talk to you yesterday. And I thought, great, cool, love to. And then what does he do? He goes and he has Les Brown come up and speak and dazzle you. Is there any greater orator in the world than Les Brown? And so, I go, okay, great, you know. And of course, day before, David Corbin is up there. And this guy can talk a lot of crap. I mean, he's very, very good. But as if that wasn't enough. Yesterday, what does he do? He has a triple gold medalist. He's got a guy who gets married at the summit of Mount Everest. And an astronaut! What do you expect me to do? Come up here and levitate before 200 people? Makes absolutely no sense. But you know what? Greg, I thank you for helping me to grow. Thank you. You know what I did? Yesterday I said to myself, CJ, you got to up your game. So yesterday, after Les Brown got off, I pulled him aside alone, and I said, Mr. Brown, counsel me. Help me. And at the break, he pulled me aside and gave me a private mentoring session. I upped my game. And you can too. So what's going to happen is, adversity is going to come. If you haven't had adversity, and I know many of you have, it could be any number of things. From something as great as losing a loved one in death, getting cancer, going bankrupt, going through a divorce, any number of trials. Be assured of the fact they will come. And I suggest to you, if you are prepared for it, reframe your attitude. It's all about attitude, isn't it? And ask yourself, okay, once you're done grieving, by the way, that may take a few days, weeks, months, maybe even years. When the last tear falls, ask yourself, how am I going to grow from this? And what will happen is, you will not only become a seasoned entrepreneur, but you will be better equipped to let your light shine as a leader for others who are going through trials. And in conclusion, in the Bible, in the New Testament, it talks about this tested quality of your faith, endurance. Tested quality, endurance. I suggest to you that just because one goes through a trial, it doesn't mean they're enduring. You're not born with the gift of endurance. You have to earn it. Earn endurance. Use it. Let your light shine so you can be there for others. Thank you very much for your time.